Hello, today we're going to be going over our Salem FSX. It is a model 176 QBHK. We are going to be starting right up front here, basically with the tongue jack. This is the aftermarket tongue jack. This does have a manual usually with the model, but basically you're going to have your switch here to turn your light on and off. And then pretty much your other one is so you can extend and retract. We're not trying to go too far because we actually do have our stabilizer jacks down at this time. While you are still hooked to the tow vehicle though, you do want to make sure you're level from side to side first. You can recommend putting a carpenter's level right inside the doorway, or you can buy little levels that can stick on the sides and on the front of the coach. And just make sure level from side to side. You might have to put a block down and then use the tow vehicle to roll onto it. Once you're good from side to side, then you unhook from the tow vehicle using this guy and then level the camper front to back using this. Once you're good from side to side and front to back, then you're going to lower the stabilizer jacks. These guys are located on each corner of the camper. It is a 3/4 socket. I tell you that to put it on a drill, makes it a lot easier. Do not use an impact. They do provide the manual crank for you. As you see, I have it already on there, so you can kind of get the visual of that. But you do have to make sure all 4 stabilizer jacks are down because this is a single axle unit. This guy here is going to be the manual crank. Pull this little guy off here, and you got your manual crank for something happened to the motor. Side there. Next, we're gonna have our 20-pound tank. This guy's been filled minus what was used to test the propane system with. As you see, you got just the one canister. You do want to make sure that you turn it off during travel, things like that. Nice thing is your fridge is a 12-volt style fridge, so you ain't got to run it on propane going down the road, which is a nice feature. This is going to be the regulator. This is just a single stage regulator, so there is no knob turning or anything along those lines because you do only have the one tank. This hose is large enough to where if you wanted to upgrade the tank to a 30-pound tank, you can do that, give you a little more propane. The cylinder is still going to be the same size, so it will still fit inside your housing. The housing does have a locking piece over here on this side as well, so you can also secure it, but then you also have the strap also. So then back behind that's where our battery is located. It's a 24 series deep cycle marine RV style battery, just common battery. With your tongue jack, at the end of your wire inside here is actually a fuse. So if for some reason your jack is not working, check to see and make sure the fuse hasn't been blown, or potentially the battery could be dead as well. The reason why it would be dead is because we stored our camper, left some lights on or left something on, but we didn't turn this guy off right here. This here is your battery disconnect. What this basically does is disconnects the camper from the battery, so nothing would drain your battery on you. You turn the key, pull it out, and that's all there is to it. Your LP detector is always constantly live, pulling off your battery. Your 12-volt fridge, if it's left on, it will drain your battery. Okay, so please just keep that in mind. All right, as we come around to the side, like I said, we had our manual crank jack, basically. If you feel like working out, by all means, use this guy. But basically inside here is going to be our storage compartment. You got quite a bit of storage that kind of travels back that direction a little bit. It is quite a grab to try to reach for something, and I almost got stuck trying to vacuum it out. This guy here and all these here is going to be basically for your hitch. We'll be going over that once the customer has arrived, and then these are my tools. You can't have them. Then basically with your door here, you got the one side, and then you're going to have a silver key. That's going to be your 751. Apply a little pressure on the door, and then turn the key to lock it. Next to it, we're going to have our outside shower. That's going to be your black key right here. Basically, you got your options of hot and cold water from here, and then it does have a little knob here so you can actually stop to reduce the flow of water. The reason for that is just basically because of the hot water side, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. You do got your vent for the stove up here. Basically, you do want to make sure that this guy here is flipped open when you're cooking so the fan can be able to do its job. And then basically when you're traveling, I usually kind of stick my finger in the middle, kind of help guide it into the holes, and then it'll shut and lock it up. Next, we're gonna have our fresh water fill. Basically with this guy, it is gravity fed, so you stick your hose in and let it fill. You do want to read the monitor panel inside to see when the tank reads full. Once it is read full, you do want to shut that water off. waiting for the water to shoot out of here. Over time can cause damage to both the outside of the camper and inside where it is connected. To drain this guy, as you see it's labeled here, it's going to be down below, and it's going to be this guy right here. You're just going to remove this cap. And we got some fresh water in there still, so we're going to go ahead and remove that, start draining that out there for us. And as you see, you know, darn, what am I going to do with these caps? Nice thing is you can actually take these caps and they'll store right inside here in your water heater. All right, and we're actually going to go ahead and just talk about this guy. So basically with this is gas only, and you do, when you're done camping, you do want to try to make sure you get all the water out of the coach. To get the water out of the water heater, you're going to open this guy to relieve the pressure, and then you're going to take this guy out down here. This is your anno rod. All right, this guy will start out the size of a dime and works itself down to the size of a coat hanger. What it's doing is it's attracting the impurities in the water, so it attacks that rod and not your tank, because it is a steel tank. To remove this guy, it is a 1 1/16 socket. As you see right here, it's labeled low point drain. So basically they got them hidden by the spray foam. But once again, you're going to have your caps. Take these guys off, store them inside here. I always like to recommend that you take these guys off, open up a faucet. As you go home, that air is going to blow through the lines, push any of that excess water out for you, so you wouldn't, once again, try to have that water that can become potentially stagnant or bad. When your water lines do start smelling like that, it's got that rotten egg smell. What you do is you fill this guy up with about 1/3 of water, put about 1/4 cup of bleach in there, and cycle it through the lines, and then let it sit for a couple hours. Then flush and hook up to the city water and just flush your lines out. All right, so then down below is going to be where our sewer hookup is to dump our tanks. Basically, your black handle is going to be for the black tank. You would pull it open to dump, and then when you're done, you just push to close. While it is open, you got your sewer hose hooked up. That's going into the ground. You're going to have a clear elbow with most of those guys you buy. Well, right here is what they call a black tank flush. Pretty much this guy is a spray, basically a sprayer inside your black tank, sprays around and gets nastiness out. I do always like to recommend using a pressure regulator at the water spigot, and then go get yourself a black hose. Black tank, black hose, it keeps it nice and simple. But the reason for the pressure regulators is on the back side of this is a plastic check valve. Too strong water pressure can damage that check valve if you are not careful. Once you've done doing your black, shut off the water at the spigot, unhook it from the spigot, and then you're going to close this guy off and then unhook. And then you'll pull your gray open to dump the gray. You always do black first, gray second. Gray is basically your kitchen sink, bathroom sink, and shower. So it's usually just soap water. Right here is where our city water hookup is going to be located. Basically with this, once again, you want to have a pressure regulator on the water spigot. From there, your options of a blue or white water drinking hose, and then hook it up to the coach. And then you're going to be ready to use the system. Besides from the hot, you do have to wait for the water heater to heat up. Here's going to be our 30-amp power cord. It does come with the coach. I want to make sure they had us plugged in. We had to unplug it earlier. Here is a notice sticker. Basically, this notice sticker is to make sure that you check your lug nuts. It is recommended you do this at 50, 100, and 200 miles. And these guys are going to be torqued to 100 foot-pounds. Okay? I always like to recommend when you leave the campground, usually first place we stop is the gas station to refuel. As we're refueling, we can check the lug nuts. We're knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. Then you also do want to try to make sure you keep the tires topped off to their max PSI level, and that is 65 PSI with these guys. And then you got these nice little caps here to go on. They do provide a little place where you can stick a screwdriver in to pop the guy off, so you can check your lug nuts. But basically just put them on there, and I just give it a nice little whack. Next, all right, so what you got a Swin Tech style slide. Basically with these guys, one thing you do have to note with these guys, these are never to be lubricated. Okay, you run on 2 independent motors that communicate through a control panel, and when you lubricate them over time, it's going to start gumming up the motor and will cause issues. When these guys start looking nasty or dirty, their most simple recommendation is simple soap, hot soap water, and just rinse them. Scrub them down with a scrub pad, or like hand mitt, kind of scrub them down and then rinse them off. Okay, that is the only thing they like to recommend. You should never lubricate these. We'll try to demonstrate it inside so you guys can try to hear the motors, so you can kind of hear that whining sound that they make. And we'll talk a little more once we are inside as well. Right here is where you got your cable inlet. Basically with this guy, this is so if you're at a campground to provide a cable for you, you can hook up to here, but you have to turn off the TV antenna booster. Okay, once again, I will show you where that's located inside. It's actually located here in the bedroom, but I will show you that once we have stepped inside. It is pre-wired for an observational backup camera. Spare tire. Your bumper here will actually hold your sewer hose. It just does not hold the elbow. I usually like to recommend go get you like a plastic gallon jug of ice cream. I know we're gonna have a field day watching, eating ice cream and watching sad movies probably. But once that container is empty, you rinse it out. That little clear elbow that comes with your sewer hose can sit in there, and you can keep it in the storage compartment where it isn't rolling around getting anything else potentially nasty. You do have a warning sticker here. Basically, it just tells you want to make sure that your awning is in before you start. Before you use the propane connection, which are kind of funny because it's actually at the front of the coach, not under the awning. But I got to point out this label warning sticker for you guys. Here's another caution sticker here. Like I said, make sure the camper is stabilized before you guys go in. So once it is leveled, all stabilizer jacks are down. We do provide you an outside 110 outlet. This guy is GFCI protected. This here is going to be the back of our furnace. Basically, you got your intake and outtake with this guy. You do not want to try to block it with anything. It does need to be able to properly breathe. But we do like to say get mud dauber screens to put over these guys so that the wasps or mud daubers can't get in there and create nests where that can become a potential issue or problem later down the road. And then over here, we're going to have our outside grill area. I have some of our hitch stuff on this side just because it's going to be on this side. Basically, this guy here will pull out. This flips down to kind of help lock it into place so it wouldn't potentially glide back in while you're cooking. Then you're going to have your quick connect hose fittings. Basically, it's going to connect here on the back side, and it'll drop down through here, and we'll go down and connect it right there. So right now, this guy's considered to be the open position. So you would close this, hook up your hose, and then you would turn this back on. You have to shut this off so that piece can go back so you can hook up your quick connect hose. I will say though, these guys are new. They do have to be seasoned. I always recommend just going on YouTube, looking up how to season a Blackstone. It's basically going to be the same exact concept there. All right, and as you see, we have our awning out here. So with our awning, one thing you do have to note is that if it's going to be windy, you're going to the grocery store, you're going floating, basically you're leaving your lot, you're leaving the camper unattended. You want to bring this in. The reason why is because a strong enough gust of wind can actually cause damage to both the awning and the camper if you are not careful. We'll show you here, basically these guys are pulled down. So this is what they call pretty much you're creating a pitch, okay? And a lot of people see this pitch and it's like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for the water to run off. Like I said, generally if there's gonna be rain or winds, anything, storms like that, you do wanna bring this in. This is actually meant to be as a shade protectant only, okay? Your steps are really nice and simple. Basically these guys here just flip and then lock right into place, that is all. Make sure you grab from here. If you try to grab from up here, you will smash your fingers. And then the last key on our key ring is going to be this purple key, basically our entry door. You got your top lock for the door handle itself. That gets turned to the right, and you'll pull the key out, kind of locks the handle. The other one is going to be your deadbolt. For this, you have to turn to the left to lock it in. And then you're unable to pull the key out. If you turn it to the right, as you see, you're able to pull the key out. It shows you did not lock your deadbolt. You're able to lock your deadbolt from the inside. And then you got your screen, so you can reach your screen door. This guy here would slide over to block any insects from coming inside. As you see, our door hits our awning. Whenever you're bringing your awning in or out, your door does have to be in this position here. I say that you want this open because you want to be able to kind of be able to see one, especially if you're in a campsite and you're close to a tree. All right, as we step inside, basically we're going to have our fire extinguisher right by the door. And then we're going to have our LP/carbon monoxide detector. This is recommended. You need to test these guys every 9 to 14 days. Okay, all you do is just simply press this button right here to perform the test. It's just that simple. It'll go off again and then go back to green. Okay, these guys do have a life expectancy of about 7 to 10 years, but you do want to make sure you periodically test that to make sure that it is working. Okay, other things can make it go off as well besides from propane, cleaning chemicals, and dog gases as well. So just be mindful about that, okay? I was trying to get to our control panel, but we're just going to go ahead and just work our way from the door. You got your Bluetooth speaker. It does have 2 USB hookups, so if you wanted to charge your phone. I believe when you turn it on, you go to your Bluetooth settings. I believe it's EEVD-08, I believe. But basically, you're able to pop this off, take it anywhere you want with you. And this is actually a charging dock. So you press it, hear that snap lock into place, and then it'll charge it for you. This here is a sticker. You generally don't want to try to take this sticker off in case you ever decide you're going to upgrade and put solar panels on here. This tells us where the wiring for the solar panels is because it's pre-wired for it. But this actually has 2 different cutout diagrams for whatever size controller you get. So it's always good to hold on to that. Our table area does break down into the bed. Basically, you're going to pull this guy up. As you see, this guy just comes right out of this railing. Pull this off. And then it will sit right on here. And then my cleaner did tell me that she put the cushions that would fill in this void in the back underneath your guys' bed. I would honestly usually also recommend that you should take this down during travel and store it under the bed if possible, just because it's just being secured by this guy right here. It goes here and locks into place. Okay, it's not super sturdy. A good enough bounce will kick this right up. Another thing to note that is you see where this is supported. You cannot put a lot of weight on these guys. You cannot try to use the table to prop yourself up out of the seats. You really don't want to do that. You will rip this out of the wall. I guarantee you will. But as you see, because of the single base, I'll show you guys so you can see it. The single baseness there, because it's a single base, there is some wobbleness to that table. So please just be mindful when you're setting food on here. Try to keep it more towards the center where that's at. Nice thing is it does rotate, so I can squeeze my fat butt over here. So we can both squeeze over here.
Exactly.
Basically, we're going to have our control panel way over here. At the top, it's going to have your tank statuses, and it does tell you the status of the battery. Press and hold, but then we emptied out our fresh tank. It's reading empty, black's empty, and gray is empty. And as they fill, they'll read empty, 1/3, 2/3, and then full. Once it reads full is when you want to go dump them. You got your water pump. You're only using the water pump if you're using the fresh water tank, which I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because we just emptied that water out. And then this here is for the water heater. Go ahead and shut that guy off. And then you got your 2 light switches. Basically, this one here is going to be for your outside awning lights. And then this other one here only turns off just this light here. All the other lights in the coach you have to turn off by hand, which are little center push buttons on there. And then we're going to have our 2 buttons down here at the very bottom. The one closest to us is going to be for our awning. And one thing that you do have to note, and I only say this because my cleaner actually did it. She was holding up because a lot of times the philosophy is up and out, down and in. But if you push up, it will actually roll your awning up backwards. So when you're going to bring it in, you have to press and hold down to bring it in. Up is out, Oh wait, did I have that? Was that right originally? Yeah, it is right. So maybe I just told you wrong.
Down is in.
Yes, down. Yeah.
Yep, and that's what you told them. So you
up
did
and
good.
out, down and in. And should be just about there. Usually you can hear it hit the side of the camper once it's all the way in. And then our other one is going to be for our slide room. Basically, like I was saying, you'll hear that whining sound, and we're going to bring that in when at the end of the video so you guys can hear that, okay? Just got to make sure my videographer here reminds me, because I have a tendency to forget sometimes.
I will do that.
We do have our fire exit window, so if you couldn't make your way to the entry door, basically this window is on a hinge, so the whole thing would fling open so you can't get out. This is here so you can pull the screen out. But I look at it, if there's a fire, just you're trying to get out. Don't be trying to pull a screen out of the window or anything like that. Just get out. Next, we're going to have our stove here. With the stove, once again, you always do want to make sure you use the hood range. Got a light and the fan. The fan usually takes just a second to actually get going. And then it sounds like your jet engine taking off. So whenever you go to turn these guys on, this here is just so you have a pretty little light. But basically, you just push it in, turn, and it lights. I did have the propane on, so that's why it lit for me right away. Usually after it's sat for usually a couple of days, you'll have to usually try to get propane going back through the system. I do recommend coming to the stove first to get that going. We do have our microwave up top, basically pretty self-explanatory. Like to say, just set the timer. You guys go out, you get back to your camp, you see the timer ain't set on the microwave anymore. That means there was a power failure. You want to look and see if it was from the campsite or the electric company. Then down below here is going to be where our fuse panel box is located. Basically, everything that runs off sure power and it's got to have 110 to operate is going to be on the breakers. Everything that runs off your battery will be on these fuses. And they do have everything right here labeled for you what each one is. So right up here in this cabinet, we're going to have our owner's manual. So this has the manuals for most of the appliances in the coach. A lot of them are starting to go paperless. So if there's a manual that you're looking for and it's not in here, I usually recommend going to Google to try to find that manual. A manual for this camper specifically, there's this little sticker right here where you scan that QR code and it will take you to their webpage. You put in your camper information and it should download a PDF file for you for the camper specifically. I will say I did put the manuals for the customer provided TV and stuff in here as well. Right above here is where you would hook up a TV if you wanted a TV for this area here. Pretty much it just plugs in there and you got your 110 outlet. They say the wall backers pretty much in this area. They usually just slap the sticker on, to be honest with you. I recommend using a stud finder to make sure you put it in the right location. They do give you a USB charging station here right near the kitchen area. You got a 110 that's GFCI protected. Then you got your furnace here. Pretty much with this guy all the way over, when you hear a click, that's shutting it off. And then it's single ducted, so it comes out of just this guy right here. And there is actually a window on there also. When you look through these fins, you'll be able to see the flame icon. You'll be able to see the flame light up in that window. It's probably not going to light because I believe I shut the propane off outside. But then we got our kitchen sink. And then right underneath here. Oh, this is where I got to think then. This is where basically you're going to do most of your winterizing. Your winterizing would be done at. So you're going to have this guy here. This is your hose that you would stick in your antifreeze. Well, on the other side back here, this might be a little harder to see, there is going to be a knob right here. Okay, you got to turn that knob so you're able to pull the antifreeze using the water pump. Okay, my nice little rule of thumb is if you're turning one valve, you're turning them all. So right now, this is in line with the freshwater tank, and then your lines here are in line with the water heater, so that the cold water will go in, and then the hot water comes out of the top. When you go to winterize, you're going to turn this knob, so but you see what it looks like. To that position there, you're going to do the same thing up at the top. just like so. So basically, your antifreeze is going to come through our line, go up and around, so you're winterizing the hot line as well. I am going to turn these back into normal operation at this time because it is now getting close to be summertime. So I'm going to leave that in the normal operations, and then this panel right here goes right on there, and it tells you where your antifreeze location is. Basically, you just put it right on there. And then we got a couple screws that set him in place. Okay. All right, as we come through our middle section here, we're going to have our shower area. Basically, once again, you got this little knob here to stop and reduce the flow of water. The reason that is for that is because the water heater is only 6 gallons. The average American uses 38 gallons of hot water when they take a shower. Just hot water. Okay, so you're just outmatched. That button there is supposed to try to help you conserve on some of that hot water a little bit. And then this guy here is your shower door. Basically, he just closes. It'll lock in. It's, you know, if you hit it with your elbow a little bit, that's going to be fine. And then you just go and he'll swing back. When you're on the inside, you do have to try to pull, when you go to open it, pull it towards you slightly and pull towards you from the inside to release it. Because you got this little piece right here that's gripping on the back side of here. All right, then. Then we're going to have our medicine cabinet, shower, or sink. GFCI outlet right here. So for some reason the outlet you're using ain't working and they're GFCI protected. See if this guy hasn't been tripped. A lot of times it happens. People's trying to use an electric skillet and a hair dryer at the same time. It happens. Next, we're going to have our toilet area. Basically with this guy, you would lightly press on the pedestal at the bottom to add some water so you could do your business. All the way down is going to flush. And it is always going to put some water back in there. You always want to try to keep some kind of liquid on that seal so it doesn't get dry rotted or brittle. When that happens, the smells start to come through and we don't want none of that. I usually like to recommend spraying nonstick cook spray, like Pam. Spray the bowl of the toilet. Helps everything slide down, makes it easier to clean for the cleaner. You also do want to make sure that you are using cleaning chemicals for the black tank. They have pouches and liquids. If you use a pouch, I always recommend putting water in the bowl of the toilet first. Put that pouch in and see that pouch dissolve. I have seen it where the pouches have not dissolved, okay? Then we got our little pocket door here. Pretty much it's magnetic. Then we got this cushion here. This guy here can be up at the top or at the bottom if you're looking to watch TV. For this guy, if you're going to use the bunk, push this to release to drop your feet. And then it's got a bungee strap here that you unhook, and then this guy will drop down, just like so. This does have to be up when you are bringing the slide room in. And this guy here, try to see what she's got going on here. She tried to shorten it up on us and took away our... So this thing does have a, sorry about that, it does have a piece here. Generally you should pull it up and over to lock that in. But as you see, it does not do the greatest of jobs trying to secure that up, but that's also because of the mattress also. And then the same thing for the top as well. It will drop down. Does have USB at the top and down at the bottom to be able to plug in and charge your phones. Up here is where your TV antenna booster is located. So as you see, that green light is on right now. So if you're at that campground trying to use that cable, you got to turn that off, push that button. Then you'll scan for cable channels. To do that, basically we're going to turn this guy on. You will, so generally since I've already scanned for channels, you're going to push your little star icon for options, and then you'll scan for channels. Now it's probably going to start scanning. It did pick up 43 channels earlier. Does I have antenna and search for channels? Go ahead and hit that OK. Don't need 3 and 4. Well, it's going to start scanning your antenna channels first, okay? It ain't going to pick nothing up, so it's going to comb through pretty quick. Once it gets to cable, then it'll start scanning for those cable channels, okay? That's the feature that comes after the antenna. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that guy because we already did find some channels, so... Oh. Never mind, I don't like you interrupting its search. So we're going to let that go. This guy here, and I'm going to leave this down here as well with the remote. Basically, this is so that if the customer wanted to, with their mount, with the TV mount they brought in, they're able to loosen this here and they can pivot the TV. I do always like to say recommendo, especially if it's on a wall like this. You will want to get a strap to secure this so it doesn't fling open as soon as you go to hit your brakes. It ain't going to fly and hit this and potentially cause damage. You got your curtain here that'll block off the bunk area. So if the parents wanted to have some privacy, they could. Whatever may seem fit. Then as you see, we do have another fire exit window. Basically for this guy, you're just going to lift here, and then this will push open. Once again, it's on a hinge. The whole thing flings open so you can get out. You got 110 hookup and USB on each side of the bed. Go ahead and move this out of our way here for the time being. So you got storage up above, and then underneath they provide you some baskets for storage. Here's the cushion here for the bed for the table area. And then the owner's boxes for their TV and mount that they brought in themselves. Alright, so then next we're going to have our fridge. So we got our freezer area. Basically, your temperatures for the fridge is going to be up here. Usually try to keep it right in the middle. If you put it all the way to colder, it will start freezing. Down below, you do have temperature settings here as well. When I first turn it on, I like to turn it on 4 or 5 to get it nice, good, and cold, and then I will change it to 3. If you guys were here an hour ago, you would have seen that my Gatorade was partially slushy because I had it on 4. But basically, all you do is push the set button to change the desired temp, and then you press and hold the set button for 10 seconds and it will actually turn this off. Now I will also tell you, when you hit your battery disconnect and you go to turn it back on, it will automatically turn this fridge back on. So just be mindful of that. Alright, so we have made our way back to the door. We are now going to go ahead and start bringing this slide room in so that you guys are going to be able to kind of hear that motor. As you see, I already swapped the cable. We're going to skip that step. Put a cushion in here. Yeah, and 43 channels. This one, I did forget to mention, this can be down during travel. There's nothing wrong with that. Alright, we're swapping around. I'm going to have her go back there so you can kind of try to hear those motors going. Like I said, they do work on 2 independent motors. Now this guy does come in pretty far. Like I said, that lower bunk does have to be up. And you don't want to try to have anything in front of where those totes are. And it's always all the way in or all the way out. There is no halfway. And I like to hold that button for an extra 3 to 5 seconds once the room has came all the way in or all the way out. Because like I said, they're two independent motors. One might be moving just a little bit faster than the other. So if that will usually help sync them up whenever you're bringing them in or out. There is no halfway with these guys, okay? It will mess up how its programming is to be all the way out and all the way in and things along that nature. All right, from there, that should be just about everything. If you guys do have any questions, do please feel free to call us. We do our best to answer those questions for you over the phone. And thank you and have a wonderful day.